What brought you to be interested in the Ojibwe language? Did you learn it as a child?
A bit of both. My father was not native at all. He was an Austrian Jewish immigrant and survivor of the Nazi Holocaust. And he has an amazing story of his own. My mother grew up in Bena on the Leech Lake Reservation. She had to struggle through poverty and so forth. Her mother had gone to residential boarding school. And so there was a break in the intergenerational transmission of our language in my family. My mother was on a relearning, reclaiming, reconnecting journey of her own as I was growing up. So I did get brought, to ceremonies and have exposure to things. But my father spoke German and English. My mother spoke English and some Ojibwe. And so English was the language of the home and the language at school. And I finished high school with a plan to get out of town and never come back. And I finished college with a plan to come home and never leave. I probably upset my parents a little bit. I finished college and I said, I'm not going to take a job. And I'm also not going to graduate school. I'm going to walk the earth and hang out with my elders. And they said, oh, well, that's beautiful. Good luck paying for that because we're done. And so I did. And I ended up connecting with this guy named Archie Mose, who was born in 1901. He was 12 years old the first time he saw a white man, which was an American experience. When I met him, he was watching WWF SmackDown on a TV in a little modern house, laughing really loud. But I went in to see him. He just shut off the TV and he said, I've been waiting for you. I said, what? How could you be waiting for me? You don't know who I am. But he had a dream. I looked like this person in his dream. For him, that was enough. So I ended up living on his couch, and I kind of had an immersion experience in our language and culture. I did apply myself in all the other ways. I was, I'm probably a little OCD with just about everything I take on. It helps me get projects done, but I was really dedicated to my language learning work. I connected with Earl, who was teaching at Bemidji State University at the time. And I had a pretty intensive period, several years, where I was really working hard on it. And eventually, of course, I did have to take a job, and eventually I did go to graduate school. And I actually got a PhD in history, and I hadn't quite given myself permission to do language instruction yet. But I was recording elders, and I was transcribing, I was doing oral history work, and that came into some of my first books were history books. And then eventually I kind of morphed into a language guy. Today I'm really lucky. I don't feel very narrowly confined like a lot of people who do academic work. So I do Ojibwe language work, I do history work, I do kind of broad general reader type works, and I have my first novel out, so I just do what speaks to me and what I think will make a contribution.